Good morning. This is Billy from Monster Pool Company, and I wanted to put a post out there. I'm starting a new YouTube channel in regards to swimming pool construction. That way, people, when they're looking for pools, can learn a lot more information about what to expect, things to watch for, and things that'll help them. This is really going to be my first video. I've been posting some YouTube videos lately that have gotten really good responses. So I thought I would start doing YouTube and then link them to Facebook so I can kind of, get out there a little bit more and help people. So realistically, we're in the metropolitan Phoenix. I'm actually in Goodyear, Litchfield Park, actually to be precise, pretty much Goodyear, Arizona. And with a lot of the newer homes, we're running issues with elevation. These are subdivisions. They're all, graded in mass quantities and then walls put up. But I want to go over a couple things to point out for people when they're looking at building a pool and elevation and things that they need to take into account. Things like grading, drainage, step down, elevation, and it can be a nuisance, but it can also be a highlight and a feature for the backyard if you do it correctly. But I'm sitting in the backyard of a pool that we did, 6-7 months ago, and now we're over here doing some landscaping. So this is a brand new house, and with the new houses in the last 10 or 15 years with soil issues out here, they've gone to post-tension slabs. So basically what it is the house sitting on a slab of concrete with post-tension cables going through it. So the soil under the house can move, and the house can move without the foundation cracking and transferring up through the walls and the ceiling and causing a lot of structural issues. But in doing so, it used to be when they'd build houses, they would dig a stem wall all the way around the perimeter. They would put up forms and pour about an 18-inch footer, prep the slab, and then pour the slab separate from the footer. Which when they did that, digging the footer would go down in the ground, so the concrete foundation, the slab, would typically be maybe 5 or 6 inches above the grade of the lot, depending on how they did the grade and drainage, and there's some more factors in there, but in general, roughly 6 inches above the current grade of the lot and the property. But nowadays, sorry if I'm getting a little long-winded, so they tend to go on like that. Nowadays, with everything being post-tension, the slabs are a lot thicker. I mean, these slabs are 8 to 12 inches thick from a total thickness, but that being above the grade because they're sitting on top of the soil in general. So basically what you get is you get a house that's sitting higher on the lot. So your finished patio, your front stoop, if you have a garage service door, the stoop outside, typically a lot higher above grade than they would be in a conventional conventional house with a footer and a poured slab in between. I don't know the technical term, I'm sorry. So I'm going to flip it around, and I'm sitting on the patio here. And, I can't flip it, but as I turn around, you're going to see where, here's my patio for the house right here. I'm sitting on the patio. We did some artificial turf, then there's the pool deck. And then as you look out over here, it looks normal. You have pool deck, you have a fence, everything looks good. But as we cruise around, and if you look here, you see the elevation of the patio, dirt, everything looks normal. But let's get to the back of the pool, and then when we get all the way to the back of the pool, it's hard to tell. So you look behind me, there's actually a slope, and I'm going to turn it around so you can see it. If I get down, the pool decking actually right here, as you go toward the fence, the pool deck here is 10 inches higher than the back at the wall. So that's a 10 degree slope in 6 feet. That's quite a bit of slope. So what happens is when you have a pool deck that's exposed, like right here we hit it. So if you can see down here, there's also a huge slope going from the travertine curbing here all the way to the fence. It literally drops on a huge slope. So luckily we can build a footer for this up higher and then use rock and dirt to grade it that way. And the good thing is drainage is we slope the grass this way, so the grass slopes from over here to over here, then down, then we can get water draining that way toward the front. But the problem that we run into with that is that when we get over to this area over here where we're doing like a barbecue and pergola and all that, run into a lot of elevation issues. So as you can see right here, the house slab at the corner over there, right there, is really high above the dirt. So then what we have to do over here is we get to the edge of the pool, and we got to build this little retaining wall here. So what we're going to have here is coming off of over here, that's going to be artificial grass. You have one course of retaining wall here, and then we're going to grade the soil. So that's actually going to be completely flat. But then when we get over here, we're actually going to have a 6-inch step down and then pavers over here. So one, if we were to have it all level, we would have to bring in tons and tons of dirt, deal with compaction, settling, and all that. But if we go ahead and do a step down, then we can grade it out. We're working with the existing elevation, so we don't have a lot of prep work. But then we can also light this, so we have step lights going in here and down there, so you actually step down coming into the barbecue area. So it actually does add a really cool architectural feature, which it's nice to have, but it's also necessary. You have to have it, because if you don't have it, then you have all that prep and grade, and then you run into a lot of drainage issues. So that's one thing that you really need to watch out for, and one way you can tell is by looking at your property wall. So if you look at the course of property wall, right, you can sometimes use a tape measure, but it's hard because companies will actually, final grading and drainage, when you get your close of escrow, it will ramp up. They'll grade it so it ramps up like right here. They'll ramp it up like that. But what you want to look at is the distance between the grade here and maybe the bottom course of block. So right here we have 3 inches. And then over